CHEK-TV, it's the best place to be.
4 times each day, live and in color.
This has been a Newshour Vancouver Island presentation.
Tragedy at Expo. A 9-year-old Nanaimo girl dies in an accident at the Canada Pavilion. 3 Vancouver Island teenagers are killed in a car accident, while a second crash leaves 1 woman hospitalized. And local MP Pat Crofton breaks Tory party ranks, calling for the resignation of Industry Minister Sinclair Stevens.
Final report with Hudson Mack.
Good evening. 1 week to the day after it opened, there has been a tragic accident at Expo 86.
In tonight's news, the rash of armed robberies continues, but this time the culprit trying to break into the Kmart store in Saanich leaves empty-handed.
Final report, weekend edition with Marisa Antonucci.
Good evening. 1 man is dead following an accident involving a single-engine seaplane.
Good morning. Welcome to our show for today. Thank you for joining us. We have some awfully nice people for you to meet today.
We'll have CHEK and NDP nomination results following the National.
CHEK News, weekend edition with Marisa Antonucci.
Good evening. RCMP have confirmed that the CHEK MLA from Atlin, Al Passarell, was killed in the crash of a small plane in Dease Lake this weekend.
Speaking of news,
CHEK News with Mark Jan Grant.
Good evening. The consultation.
CHEK News with Mark Jan Grant.
Good evening. As a rock band from Victoria helps make legal history.
Today on CHEK News, free at last, the Birmingham 6. Watching your property slip slide away. And yen for a big family.
CHEK News at noon with Lee McKenzie.
Good afternoon. They spent 16 years in prison for crimes they didn't commit.
This is a CHEK News break.
good evening. Ottawa's new gun control proposal would require all gun owners to register themselves and their weapons by the year 2003.
CHEK News with Mary Beth Burton.
And it's my pleasure to introduce for the first time Veronica Cooper, who is going to be responsible for weekend weather from now on.
Like 30 seconds before you go.
I thought you learned that lesson about 3 months ago.
No, but I forgot it.
Okay.
And now I'm back at it again.
Good morning. It is 5:30 on this Thursday morning. Welcome to Wake Up. I'm Jill Kropp.
And I'm Zach, and here's a look outside our Vancouver Tower Cam window. It's chilly this morning.
Tonight on CHEK-TV News at 5. Terror in central Saanich. An elderly couple is held at knife point by a pair of home invaders. Plus, Alan Greenspan speaks, and the markets listen and respond. Good evening. Hudson has the night off.
Tonight on CHEK-TV Late News. A guilty verdict for a Malahat man. Dr. William Cybers faces the death penalty in Florida. And sitting on top of the world, Mount Washington is the envy of the island. Good evening. Sophie Louis is away tonight.
Tonight on CHEK-TV Late News. The end of an era. CHEK-TV checks out. Make way for CH. Good evening. Don't touch that dial. Don't change the channel because the channel is changing for you. Big changes are coming to your television set as tonight marks the end of an era for CHEK television.
Hi, I'm Judy Tyabji. Thank you very much for joining us today. Now today, a word of warning on the show. We have a lot of different segments for the show, but there's quite a bit of information coming at you, and I think most of it will be very useful. We're going under the heading of Crown Corporations. We'll be looking at ICBC in the coming weeks.
Well, good evening and welcome to CH Weekend News. We have shed our CHEK-TV name and, as you can see, are coming to you from the newsroom because our downstairs studio is being completely revamped with a new look. Airborne assaults. Tonight on CH News at 5, police use military muscle in the war on drugs. Good evening and welcome to the first edition of CH News at 5. We have made some big changes around here.
Tonight on CH News Final, a last farewell, a stirring tribute to a friend and teammate. Plus, a familiar face comes to Vancouver. Bill Clinton takes center stage. Good evening. Sophie Louis is away tonight.
Go Magazine.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the first edition of Go Magazine, the place to go for arts, entertainment, and lifestyle. Basically all the fun stuff. I'm Nancy Sinclair. Today we're going to visit with Victoria's resident whale population.
Tonight on Sports Page, Sunday Skills Show. Canucks cap off a wild weekend with a made-for-fans event at GM Place. Fish out of water. Marlin right-hander and BC boy Ryan Dempster puts on a clinic in Victoria. And nothing could be finer than being a 49er. Jeff Garcia leads San Fran to a rout over the Dolphins.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sports Page, and welcome to our new digs and our new set here in the Global BC building.
Tonight, live on CH News, stuck in the middle. Government managers under stress. Not budging. Squatters occupy a Victoria building. And pressure mounts on the TC picket line.
Now, CH News with Hudson Mack.
Good evening. Protesters claiming to represent the homeless are continuing at this hour to occupy an empty building.
This is a CH News break.
Fire has destroyed an elementary school in Langford.
Today on CH News at noon, a grim discovery. A missing plane is found in the waters off Vancouver Island.
Now, CH News at noon with Murray Langdon.
Good afternoon. A heart-wrenching search has ended in the deep waters off of Quadra Island.
A parent's nightmare. An elementary school on fire. Parents unsure where their children are.
I was shaking. Once I heard, I was shaking. It's a scary thing.
Happy Valley Elementary School is gone, razed by a fire this morning. 175 students inside.
At the starting, we thought it was just a smoke machine, but then when we found out that it was a real fire, everyone started panicking.
Thankfully, no one was seriously injured. This is a special edition of CH News.
Good evening. Hours after it started, firefighters are still at the scene of the now destroyed elementary school.
Tonight on CH News, former ministerial aide Dave Bassi in court facing more charges.
Now,
CH News with Ed Watson and Sophie Louie.
Good evening. It was 1 year ago next week. Police officers swooped down on the BC legislature.
Tonight on Sports Page, Bert back in court tomorrow. An expected plea bargain will get him a conditional discharge.
Tonight on CH News at 5, a low level of concern over a high-level meeting.
So I really don't think it poses much of a threat here in Victoria.
But are officials underestimating the threat? What a Vancouver Island photographer was able to unmask.
It makes them all look like, a bunch of rats.
So why were police posing as protesters? And oiling our real estate boom.
We're outdoorsy people, so we're here for the pleasure of the outdoors.
Alberta petrodollars pay for island properties.
CH News at 5 with Julie Nolan.
Good evening. 26 of NATO's highest-ranking officers, including generals from Britain and the U.S.
CH News at 6 with Ed Watson.
Good evening. We have more pictures to show you tonight of the BC Ferry Queen of the North.
Tonight on CHEK News.
The wildfire situation in BC has reached a critical level.
Now, Vancouver Island's most watched newscast, CHEK News. Here's Scott Fee.
Good evening. Premier Gordon Campbell says the wildfire risk in this province is at its highest level in recent memory.
CHEK News continues right now with Jennifer Crosby and Scott Fee.
Thanks, Julie. Good evening.
Here's what's making news this hour.
Next on CHEK News.
Global food prices are going through the roof.
One more hit and then we have to pass it on.
Tonight we'll show you what this means for you the next time you're in the grocery store.
Bookworms fight to take their library back.
I'm asking you to please find another place to go to.
And I'm asking you to please open up the library.
I don't have that authority.
No, who does?
We'll show you the latest chapter in Greater Victoria's library strike.
And even if you use security settings, your online info may not be safe.
If a picture is truly sensitive, don't put it online.
Tonight we'll introduce you to the man who hacked into Facebook.
From our Vancouver Island newsroom, this is CHEK News. Here are Jennifer Crosby and Scott Fee.
And we begin tonight in Ladysmith, where a standoff is underway right now.
Tonight on CHEK News.
The puck stops here. The Canucks complete day 1 of training camp on the island.
From our Vancouver Island newsroom, this is CHEK News with Scott Fee.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. Victoria Police need your help tonight in the search for a 13-year-old girl.
Good evening and welcome to a special live broadcast from the CHEK News parking lot. We're surrounded by hundreds of fans, staff, family on a historic day here at CHEK News. An exciting atmosphere. So great to see so many people out here. We have lots of special guests we're going to be hearing from, and we've got some great stories to show you tonight, reflecting back on 53 years that CHEK has been here on the island serving the community. But first, we actually have some development in the storyline, the drama that's unfolded in the potential closing of CHEK News. Today was the deadline set for CHEK News, and we're going to turn it over briefly now to our general manager, John Pollard.
At this time, with the support of CanWest and everybody at CHEK Television, as well as the CRTC and everybody at the government, we will be on the air tomorrow. We are working to bring this to a great conclusion.
Bringing Vancouver Island to you. This is CHEK News.
Hello, I'm Dana Hutchings. On December 1st, 1956, BC's first private television station, CHEK-TV, signed on the air. Good evening and welcome to a special edition of Island 30. We have some of our best stories from right across Vancouver Island. All that and more coming up.
from everywhere on Vancouver Island. This is Island 30. Here is Dana Hutchings.
During the worst hurricane season in history, Julie and Colin Angus rode across the Atlantic Ocean.
Ferry traffic has been rerouted, and one man is lucky not to have drowned after his truck plummets into Nanaimo Harbor.
CHEK News at noon with Stacey Ross.
Good afternoon. One man is lucky to have escaped drowning after his paving truck went off the trestle and into the water.
Tonight on CHEK News.
Tonight we learn the future of CHEK Television.
Well, I think we've made some history here. There's no question.
Now, Vancouver Island's most watched newscast, CHEK News. Here's Scott Fee.
Good evening. Tonight marks the end of a deadline CanWest gave to CHEK employees and local investors to try and hammer out a deal to save CHEK News. The last 40 days have been an incredible ride for viewers, supporters, and staff. Tonight we can tell you that after 53 years of being the #1 station on the island, a deal by the employees and several local investors has been accepted by CanWest. CHEK-TV has been sold and is now not only your island's owned, but your island's owned.
Tonight on CHEK News.
And another step forward for us here at CHEK Television.
We're the island's own station, and we mean to prove that.
We'll take you behind the scenes.
Now, Vancouver Island's most watched newscast, CHEK News. Here's Stacey Ross.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us on this Monday. It is the beginning of a new era for us here at CHEK Television. We'll have more on that in just a moment, but first to the Olympics.
Tonight on CHEK News.
A plume of smoke puts a chokehold on air travel.
They've canceled all flights. It's like, what? It's like a bad movie.
Grounded. BC passengers are feeling the Icelandic volcano eruption. The HST fight gets serious.
People are just getting frustrated and they feel like the government's dictating to them.
And more whales found dead. What is happening in our waters?
From our Vancouver Island newsroom, this is CHEK News. Here's Tony Parsons.
Good evening. As a thick cloud of volcanic ash still hangs above much of northern Europe.
From the capital, this is a BC News and Weather Update. Here's Scott V.
Good afternoon. Here's what's making headlines around the province right now. We're going to start with international news, as these are very anxious hours.
Hi, I'm Stacey Ross here on the beautiful Gorge Waterway. This is a site that proved to be a very special location for our unsung islanders. Coming up next on Island 30, we'll tell you why. We hope you will become an unsung islander, because even though the BC Transplant Service is celebrating 25 years of providing life-saving organ transplants, there are still very few of us in this province who are registered.
It's game on!
Tonight, the Vancouver Island Raiders look to bounce back after a crushing defeat last season.
Getting the call to the hall, we check in with former Victoria Shamrock Chris Pratt.
And Rugby BC unveils a new promo video tonight. Get your game face on, because it's game on.
Game On is brought to you by Jenner Chevrolet Buick GMC. Here for you and in your community on the Old Island Highway.
Hello and welcome to Game On, our local sports bonanza on a Monday night. My name's Paul. That would be Jeff, and we have a jam-packed show for you tonight.
Hey, good morning. It is Thursday, April 18th. I'm Andy Neal with your Morning Check. Well, the federal government said this morning it is extending the deadline to make a decision on the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion.
Tonight.
Goodbye, Blue.
I've been under that thing on jet skis, and now I've been the last guy over it.
The final vehicle makes its way across Victoria's old Johnson Street Bridge. sign of trouble.
If he's operating a commercial business, he should be in a commercial area.
Landsville takes court action against a landowner over this unusual display. And Good Friday fun.
We're just hanging out and enjoying the weather.
The Easter long weekend begins.
Now, CHEK News. Here's Stacey Ross.
Hi there. Thanks very much for being with us on this Good Friday.
Tonight.
Tense standoff. Police swarm a Victoria apartment.
Now, CHEK News. Here's Tess Van Stratton.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Did you feel the earth move last night? Many Vancouver Islanders did.
Tonight.
Statue support.
The statue issue, as much as it might have hurt her in the short term, ironically may help her in the long term.
A new poll shows a majority in BC oppose the removal of the John A. Macdonald statue. What impact could that have on Victoria's upcoming election?
Now, CHEK News. Here's Ben O'Hara-Byrne.
Good evening. A new poll shows that a majority of British Columbians and Canadians are opposed to a decision to remove a statue of John A. Macdonald.
It's game on! Game On is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. The right choice.
Hello, friends. Happy Canada Day long weekend. Happy 152nd birthday to the greatest country in the world.
Yes, sir. Do I look good? No, seriously. Hey, have you got your tickets yet for the Promise Ball? It's the...
You're welcome. Das Medaille. Das Vidania.
Das Vidania. Das
Vidania.
Das Boot. I don't know.
You want to make out later?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, we're going to talk about Oak Bay Beach Hotel. No, we're not going to talk about it. We're going to go there. Hey, did you get your I'm gesturing already. But it's dangerous. It's wavy. And...
No, it isn't. It isn't. Just.
Oh, it stopped. That stopped now.
No, you have to press the start button.
Hey, welcome to Check Around. What a special show we have today. I know I'm not your regular host because he is right over there, but I get to interview him because, ladies and gentlemen, hold your applause for a moment. This guy's retiring.
Sounds crazy, I know. How could somebody this young be retiring?
Hello from the CHEK News studios. CHEK has a long history on Vancouver Island. It was the first privately owned station in the province. 5 years ago, we began a new chapter as an employee-owned independent station, an accomplishment we're very proud of. We bought the station in 2009, but the roller coaster ride didn't end there.
Good morning, and thanks for tuning in to this edition of Morning Check, brought to you by Bathfitter here on Vancouver Island. I'm Graham Cox, and here's what's making headlines to start this Thursday, October 24th.
Today's check-in is brought to you by Bathfitter here on Vancouver Island.
Tonight on CHEK News.
Murder verdict.
There was more than one person murdered, and the murders were part of a common scheme or plan or the result of a single act of the person. Answer, yes.
A Washington jury rules in the killing of a young Saanich couple 30 years ago.
Live from Vancouver Island, here's Stacey Ross.
Hello, thanks very much for being here. A jury in Washington state has now found 56-year-old William Talbot guilty of the murders of Jay Cook and Tanya VANCOLOUR³.
if this is
Dr. Bonnie Henry imploring British Columbians to get on side and stay away from each other or face the consequences. CHEK News starts now. Hello there. We begin with breaking news tonight. One of Vancouver Island's longest running events, the largest annual public gathering of the year in the BC capital, has fallen victim to the COVID-19 outbreak.
Tonight on CHEK News.
Tragedy on the mountain.
There's no getting around.
Grief after the death of a well-known Vancouver Island businessman. On strike.
We'll be on strike one day longer than they'll be able to take it.
Western Forest Products workers vow to stay off the job as long as it takes. We'll tell you what they want. And the day after.
Perhaps the police were able to see a little bit more into the crowd.
This year's Canada Day police numbers may surprise you.
Live from Vancouver Island, here's Tess Van Stratton.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. It was a tragedy that shook the community of Port Alberni to its core.
Tonight on CHEK News.
A deadly drop.
Oh, I can't even fathom it.
An SUV makes a fatal 250-foot fall.
Live from Vancouver Island, here's Andy Neal.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. A crash on a logging road near Port Alberni has claimed the life of one man.
The Upside is brought to you by IBEW Local 230.
Hey there, happy Sunday. Welcome to the best of the Upside.
Good evening. It's election night. Welcome to our special CHEK News coverage of the 2019 federal election. I'm Stacey Ross here with Joe Perkins.
Tonight we will bring you full results from Vancouver Island and right across the country. 7 island ridings up for grabs.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. It's an election like no other. As we speak, British Columbians are still casting their votes in this snap election called during a pandemic.
Good evening. It is election night. Welcome to Your Island Vote 2021. Thanks so much for being here for our live coverage. I'm Stacey Ross.
And I'm Joe Perkins. And right out of the gates, we can tell you that Justin Trudeau's big election gamble has paid off. The Liberals will form the next government. We aren't ready quite yet to declare whether this will be a minority or a majority.
Your local sports coverage lives here.
Everybody's doing something. We'll do nothing.
With Don Taylor.
I've got this crooked cane, this really old crooked cane.
And Rick Dollywall.
We ended up going to a Best Western to watch the Lions in the 83-82.
Here's Donnie and Dhali.
10 o'clock in downtown Vancouver. We're in the Paul Carson studio. Thanks for tuning in, folks. It's Donnie and Dhali, the team on CHEK. Don Taylor, along with Rick Dollywall. Ryan Henderson is our producer. He's the man of the controls. Our director, the voice of God, is Derek Wong. How are you?
Oh, it couldn't be better.
I want you to bring the fire that you had moments ago before the show to this show today.
Hey folks, my name is Mo Amir and this is VANCOLOUR, British Columbia's bona fide culture and politics TV talk show right here on CHEK and CHEK+. We're also on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Tonight, we're launching a new segment right now. I'm going to take your complaints directly to the government and you can judge their answers for yourself.
Our native land.
Hey everybody, Chadis Leo here, host of Our Native Land through CHEK Podcast Studios in Victoria, British Columbia.
Our native land, our native land. Our native land. Hi-ya, hi-ya, our native land.
Hey everybody, CHEK here, host of Our Native Land through CHEK Podcast Studios here in Victoria. That's right, I'm in studio on the island. Couldn't be happier to be here. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us and welcome to our first episode of BCPoli Live. For the next 3 weeks, every Tuesday night, we'll be discussing the BC election campaign, the promises and the issues live here on CHEK as we approach the big day, Decision Day.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Political Capital, your source for all the latest in BC politics. And boy, is there a lot going on out there with the legislative session ending, the government kind of under fire on a bunch of different topics.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to BCPoli Live. This is our first of 4 shows in the lead up to the federal election on September 20th. For the next 30 minutes, we'll discuss the election campaign with a focus here on Vancouver Island and Battleground BC. And let's get right to it. Why, hello there. Welcome to the MicCHEK podcast for TV. I'm Joe. He is Kyle. This is the TV edition of an audio podcast that we put out a few weeks back.
CHEK acknowledges the Lekwungen peoples of the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations and the other Coast Salish, Nuu-Channel, and Kwakwaka'wakw peoples on whose traditional lands we live and work.
As we trend towards these warmer than normal temperatures, we could see fire activity grow through the latter half of the summer.
Though off to a welcome slow start to the season, forecasters say the province is better prepared than ever to handle the wildfires that will come later this summer.
We're doing everything we can to reduce the mosquito problem.
You may not like it, but our cool, wet spring is perfect for mosquitoes, and work is underway to try and get rid of the pesky bugs. CHEK News starts now. Good evening. Thanks very much for being here. The province provided an update on BC's wildfire situation as we head into summer. June will continue with the cool, wet trend, but long-range forecasts indicate the heat could return in the second half of the summer, and with it, wildfires. Thanks a lot for being with us tonight. I hope you have a terrific Friday and a really wonderful weekend. Andy Neal is up next with CHEK News at 6.
Tonight on CHEK News.
Preparing for BC's wildfire season.
We could see fire activity grow through the latter half of the summer.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. British Columbia has spent like never before to fight wildfires, only to find this year's fire season is off to a damp start. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A West Shore mother is speaking out after her son was hit by an SUV after getting off a school bus.
You're a bunch of scabs for your world.
When it happens on the island, I am terrified because there's some... When it affects your world.
We're here reporting live on Blanchard Street, where Victoria...
When you need to know, now.
The worst thing you can do is turn and run.
When you can't get it anywhere else. You turn to the news that's close to home.
The RCMP in Sydney are investigating an explosive...
Immediate.
This next report gives us a story that comes...
Award-winning.
And the good news tonight is that...
Local. CHEK 6. News that hits close to home.